All right. Welcome, everybody.
Welcome.
AI for NTP, session 7. I'm excited. We are going to kick this off shortly, but wanted to introduce myself. I'm Ian. Most of you probably know me from past ones. If not, I'm Ian. I'm one of the founders of AI for NTP. I'm here with Alec. Justin is with us in spirit today. We miss him, but we're really glad you guys are here. And today we are going to cover how business owners make money, making more money with AI. So it's a really broad topic. So to set it up, it's not going to be, here's practical steps on how to make money, how you can make money right now. Here's a simple follow tutorial. It's going to be more or less like, how are some companies using it and how can it apply to you? What are some tools that you can use that we can apply to you? We really want to help you understand AI better, how to work with it, how to actually make it work for you. And I don't know, Alec, I've had a crazy week. My son's getting married on Saturday. And so I'm putting a brisket on tonight on the smoker for the rehearsal dinner tomorrow. And I've been running and gunning. So I'm glad to actually slow down and do this with everybody here.
Yeah, this will be a fun one. And for anyone that's been on these before, it's typically been 3, maybe 4 of us. Typically, our fearless leader, Justin, is handling a lot of the kind of hosting duties. So it's a kind of fun dynamic for Ian and I to be jumping on here. Just to intro Ian, because we are used to being introed by Justin. Ian is Ian is top 0.0001% of AI adopters. He actually is the CAIO of a company, which is a title that didn't even exist a few years ago. So he is absolutely on the cutting edge of this. He built some really cool stuff for his companies and other companies. So this will be a fun one. We all have kind of hands-on experience with doing these kind of builds. So this will be a fun one. I'm excited to show you guys.
Yeah, I'll throw it back to you, Alec. I was actually just telling him yesterday on a call that I was really glad that Justin introduced he and I. And Alec is one of the few guys that I know that actually is working with OpenClaw and actually pushing the boundaries. And he's so young. And it makes me so jealous. So it's amazing what this guy's done. He's built something in not even a year, months, right? That is would have taken you 10 years in the past. So total hustler, total baller. Actually, before we get started, is the chat working? Can you guys chat something? Actually, tell me your favorite band that you've seen live. Let's try some kind of different question. Hey, there's a hi.
Okay. Chat's working. There we go.
Great.
Favorite band. It's a very
favorite concert. Question. The Roots. I saw Robert Plant and Alison Krauss at this amphitheater nearby. It was a lot of fun. Keith Urban. I'm from Nashville.
A little country.
Not from Australia, but yeah. Okay, now tell me where you're all from, because I actually want to know. And while you're doing that, we're going to kick it off. I love an active chat. I love when you guys talk about what's going on and your thoughts on it. If you have questions, we love that kind of stuff. So keep it going. It's a lot of fun for me to see. But first, I want to hand it over to Alec for the first one. What do you got to show us?
Yeah, let's do it. And to Ian's point, if anyone has questions along the way, throw them in the chat. We'll try to address them in real time. If not, we'll circle back at the end of the call here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we will get into it here.
Great.
All right, so I'm looking at these examples in kind of 3 lenses. One is the overall concept of what these companies have done. One is their specific use case. And then the third is some broader use cases that could apply to my business, to our business, to your business. So those are the lenses that I will be presenting these through. The first example is Flexport voice agents. And again, my examples will be what I've seen, heard about, experienced in the field. Flexport, this voice agent example, is actually one that I heard at least a year ago, maybe even 18 months ago. So they've been at this for a while, and their use case here and overall conceptually is internal voice agents. So I think at this point, everyone's gotten a call at some point from a voice agent. You pick up the phone and it's obviously AI. And that can be a viable use case in some scenarios when your business is making outbound calls to customers, potential customers. But a lot of times, at least at this point, it's being perceived as spammy, but it's getting better every single day. So it will be at a point where it's indistinguishable and it's great for kind of those external use cases. The use case that we're going to be talking about today is internal use cases. So what that looks like for Flexport is they are a logistics company. So they have all of these check-ins with drivers and warehouses, and they need to get updates. And before they had people doing this, so they had a big call center situation where they are calling these drivers, calling warehouses all day, thousands of dials a day, I would assume at their scale. So what they did is they were able to implement these voice AI agents to call those drivers, get those status updates in real time. So what that does is, hey, this is either revenue generating or saving costs. And there's no question that this is saving a lot of costs on headcount, as well as saving a lot of time and having something that doesn't mess up. This is something that works on there's a specific trigger for these calls to go out to drivers, and then all of that is built out so that it works seamlessly. So their use case is really cool, and how that could apply to your business. And again, we're looking at this as kind of internal voice agent use cases. So anytime within your business that, say, maybe you have to follow up for somebody to input data. It's funny, I just thought about this. I had a voice agent set up. I was trying to be really diligent about logging calories and screen time and that sort of thing, and keep track of that. I actually had a voice agent set up that would call me at 9 o'clock at night. I would tell it my stats, and then that would push into the spreadsheet because it was hooked up with tools and all that good stuff. So you can think about what that could look like in more of a business use case. If there's data that you have to collect from vendors, from your team at any given point, you could have a voice agent that runs at this time every day, or this status triggers the call to go out to collect that information. That's one kind of internal voice AI use case that could be really good. One is if you have to chase people down to get a contract signed or get an update, you could have a voice agent call out to those people and say, hey, this contract's been on your desk for 4 days. We need an update on this. And these can be really when you are able to hook up tools to it. So just a kind of micro example is what I was telling you about logging to a Google Sheet. When we were able to add that functionality where we can actually log data, it makes these things really powerful. So yeah, that's the overall example of Flexport and their internal use of voice agents. I think this could apply to a lot of different functions in business, and voice agents do have functionality in external use cases as well. Things like database reactivation. It doesn't even have to be limited to calling your team on the contract piece. If you've sent your client a contract 4 days ago and you wanted to give them a call saying, hey, this is just a update, wanted to see if you saw that contract, just something to keep in front of people instead of having it to manually chase. That's the overall concept here. So that is Flexport. They've been at this for a while. So I'm sure they've continued to build on this since and continuing to use AI heavily.
One thing I think is a really important point you made, Alec, is internal use. Because if you think about using, at least when I think about using a voice agent, it's how am I going to make people believe that this is a human and to get all weirded out, right?
Yes.
But if it's internal, it doesn't matter. They know.
It doesn't matter.
We get sick of those ones. Press this for what the answer with your voice, but I know you're a robot. I hate that. I get mad at those things. But internal purposes, actually, it's useful.
Yeah, and that's a good point. It's always a kind of uphill battle if you're trying to have this perceived as a human and function as well as a human could, from the end user being able to determine, is this AI or is this a voice agent? Because the truth is, right now in its current state, we all know when we get an AI call, it's obvious. Even the best models, and it's getting better by the day. At some point, it will be indistinguishable. It's just like the example of the Will Smith eating spaghetti video generation from 2023, where it's just crazy AI slop, and now it's almost indistinguishable from real video. So same thing will happen for voice agents. So it'll get there. But yeah, for these internal use cases where it doesn't really matter if it's being perceived as AI, because that's everybody, we know it's AI. It's collecting this information that we need to give it, and it's logging it to wherever that needs to go. And that's a wrap.
Internal voice agents. I think that's a great call. Actually, there's one company called Sesame, sesame.com, like Sesame Street. Have you seen this voice agent?
No.
If they have a free app on iPhone and you can download it, it's the most impressive voice agent I've ever heard. It actually sounds, it's amazing. It uses Gemini, and I keep waiting for them to open it up so I can use it. But right now I just open it up and talk to it. It's like talking to any other one, except, for instance, I saw a video of it with this guy that was trying to prove it was conscious or something. And so I called her up, said, hey, her name is Maya, Sesame voice agent. I said, hey, I wanted to talk to you about this video of you. And she goes, oh, which video is that? I said, the one where you kept saying potato over and over. She got stuck in a loop. And her response was, oh, that's so embarrassing. We've been trying to get that one scrubbed, but what do you want to know about it? And I'm like, that sounds like a human.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're far. I don't think we're far being fooled.
No, it's certainly not far. I actually went to I was at a conference in San Francisco, and it was on voice agents, and they had some of the leading voices there, guys from Sierra, Deep Graham, and it was some of the founders and high-level executives speaking there. And what happened was somebody in the audience asked, they're like, what do you predict 5 years from now? And all the guys up front just started laughing. They're like, can't predict 5 months, let alone 5 years. So yeah, it'll definitely get there, just like everything else in AI, just like the video generation examples, just like image generation. Everybody remembers you can obviously tell what AI images look like. And now with like Nano Banana, Google's model, you honestly can't really tell. So
I remember exactly 1 year ago telling somebody, oh, I'll bet you in 2 years we'll have video, AI video. And literally that December, we had like Sora or something come out. Man, time is so compressed. So,
oh my gosh, moving fast.
All right, good start. Let me throw up mine. Mine's actually, I took a very different approach. Instead of going high level, I'm gonna actually give you guys my take on the tools to use to get started working with the most powerful AI that I've found. And it starts with the hosting. I'm not actually paid by DigitalOcean. I don't have any kind of thing. I like them. I like to use them. I've used Bluehost, HostGator, other ones. And this one just seems to have, I figured it out. So my combo, it's a 1-2 punch. Both of them are, both my offerings here is DigitalOcean or some server that you like that has enough capacity to use, and OpenClaw. And I know I keep on talking about OpenClaw. It really just is, in my opinion, the most powerful AI that there is. So what you would do, there actually is an option to create an OpenClaw server. Don't use it because it didn't really work for me. And you can just do it yourself or have us set it up for you. You set up a server, it's about $18 a month. You install OpenClaw, and it's essentially a wrapper around a model. So it's not the model itself. It's not the thing that thinks, but it has its own personality and it has its own memories. The way I started back in January, I've only been using it since January, 7 months, was I installed this on a DigitalOcean server, installed OpenClaw, put in Claude at the time, Opus 4.6, I think, and just started brainstorming with it. And I ended up building 10 apps in 10 weeks, just on ideas that we had. And a couple of them are on the store, a couple of them are SaaS online products, and they work really well. But I would not have even had those ideas, let alone been able to accomplish them, if it hadn't been for this 1-2 combo. So if you're a hustler, if you're someone that's, how do I do this in my business? How can I get it more agentic or automated or whatever? OpenClaw has no boundaries, has no guardrails. You will have to make sure you put those guardrails in place because it's pretty open. It tries to accomplish the thing that you ask it to do, regardless of anything else that exists. So it can be a little too wild. You've probably heard stories, but there is a way to tame it. But if you're really looking just to understand the ability, the AI, the accelerant that it is, then I would use this 1-2 combo, set it up, put a ChatGPT or some brain into a Kimmy, and just start talking with it and get some ideas. If you run into a spot, you can always talk to Claude or something like that and get yourself out of it. But this, in my opinion, is the people who are leading the charge. Actually, it's you people that are on this call. You're obviously entrepreneurial in your thinking. Maybe you're not an entrepreneur yet, but you're leaning into AI. And I'm trying to lean you in way further because very few people use this. Very few people think this way. And I want to commend you, first off, for being on the call and leaning into the bleeding edges of tech like this. And this is actually how you can get one set up. So this combo here, it's not very high level and it's not practical in that here's one workflow to make money, but it's actually the beginnings of making whatever you want that can make money. And I've actually proven this in my own stuff and with AI for NTP. Obviously, it's almost all of this. That's my first one.
And for everyone in the audience that's maybe wondering, how does DigitalOcean and OpenClaw, are they the same thing? Are they separate things? Basically, OpenClaw is, you could think of it as an AI employee, and it needs really its own computer. To contrast an example of how you could set up OpenClaw, right next to me, I have a Mac Mini set up, and it's strictly for OpenClaw. So I have OpenClaw running on this Mac Mini, and that's the only purpose for it. It has its own environment, its own computer. It's on there all day, anytime. It has its jobs that it's set up to do. Anytime I ping it to do something, it's running on that computer and is available 24/7 to do things and is doing things 24/7. So in Ian's case, with DigitalOcean is the cloud version of that. So instead of having this physical hardware in your office, having this computer here that's strictly for OpenClaw, DigitalOcean is basically a cloud version of that. It makes it a lot easier for setup. Like I think Ian has a Mac Studio, so you don't need to go to that level to get set up and start using these tools. Ian, can you give a couple examples of, just for anyone in the audience that hasn't using a lot of OpenClaw, what are some things that it can do? Like high level, what is it?
High level, I would say, yeah, I do have a Mac Mini and a Mac Studio, and I have OpenClaws on both. They're great locally for things you don't want to reach the internet. So if you want to build something for yourself or have it go through even your files or photos or something, my brother-in-law was just plugging old hard drives into his and saying, hey, go through here and find and organize all my photos on these things from 20 years ago. So it's great for that kind of stuff. That's actually locally how I built all the iOS and Android apps. Whereas servers on a DigitalOcean server, I actually had it build out web presences and programming thousands of pages and pretty complex systems. And I communicated all through Telegram. So that's primarily where I talk to all of them. That's where I do all my coding now, which is funny because I used to hand code everything. But it can also do research. You can tell it to wake up at a certain time and go find the top 10 articles on whatever you're interested in, and then show you the next morning. So you wake up and there's a bunch of research you didn't have to do. I had mine wake up every morning at 4 and build me 3 tools, knowing what it knew about me. Build me 3 tools that would help me. And I ended up with 30 tools. I'm like, okay, that's enough tools. I got more than I can handle. So they're very, very agentic, very autonomous if you let them, but you still have to set them up to be that way. Like Chat and Claude can't actually build things as easily and as readily as OpenClaw. And I'm actually glad you mentioned that it's an AI employee. It is. But one of our mottos here at AI for NTP is we don't want to replace employees with AI. We want to empower them with AI. And if you were on a last call, I think it was our last call, you'd see that I actually did that at my company, Brand Sauce, that we empowered all of our employees with their own OpenClaw, where they can build in a place that they get to access to this, in my opinion, bleeding edge technology. So I hope that's high level enough and low level enough that's helpful.
Yeah, I love it. I'll give a couple of final examples on the OpenClaw stuff. One example is you could have it hooked up to a lot of tools that you're already using. Like, for instance, you could have it hooked up to your CRM, to where every day it's looking at your CRM, it's seeing what deals are open and what's been sitting in the same stage for X amount of days. And then it's hooked up to an email. So it could send you an email that's basically a report on, hey, what's been sitting, what's been stagnant. Something along those lines. You could have it. I have mine hooked up to an iPhone, so it can send texts.
Nice.
Say you need to get client reports out or whatever. It could be hooked up to wherever there's, depending on what you do, wherever that data lives. Say you're running ads for somebody and you need your ad analytics. You can pull that from Meta, push that out via email, push that out via text. So it's a lot of really cool use cases like that, and how it varies from, everyone's familiar with ChatGPT or Claude. Basically what OpenClaw is it allows you to bring in your own model. You could use ChatGPT, you could use Claude, and it basically like that's the brain of, and then it has Claude, it has the tools, it has the email, it can go and do these things. It has memory, which is huge. It remember what your business does, who you are, your past conversations with it. So that's a big deal.
Yeah. And the OpenClaw is also, it's free. It's open source. And it's always being worked on by the community. Peter Steinberger started it. He's kept it MIT licensed, free. And so that's the best part. You can just install it anywhere and plug in your own brain.
It is free. One caveat to that is when you're bringing in your own model, right? It's like you're using ChatGPT and like you're kind of either using, if you're using Claude, for instance, you're using their API, so you do have to pay for those tokens. But outside of that,
Yes.
open source, free.
Yeah.
There we go. Love it.
Right.
Love it. Okay, on to the next.
Great.
This is one I initially saw on LinkedIn a few weeks ago. So a company called Curative, they were using Salesforce, and their Salesforce bill annually was $600,000, and they vibe coded their own solution in under 2 months. So now everything's in-house. There's probably some hosting costs associated with it. They might spend a few $100 a month, $1,000 a month, something like that. So significantly improved from $600,000 per year. So the overall concept here is that you can now reduce your SaaS spend and also increase customization. So Salesforce, and take any really off-the-shelf tool, Salesforce, HubSpot, project management tool, ClickUp, Monday.com, whatever it is, any off-the-shelf tool, it's built so that it can apply to really any business, right? But when you're building something from scratch, you can get a level of customization and have those features that you've always wanted. It'd be like, there's those things with any software that you're using. Take Salesforce, for instance, where like, I wish we could do this at a Salesforce, or I wish we could do this here. And everyone's bouncing between 50 different, you're bouncing between Slack, you're bouncing between Salesforce, you're bouncing between Notion or Monday.com, whatever. So now with building in your own solutions out, you could have that all in one place. And a couple of years ago, this is something that wouldn't be feasible. These builds cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. They take 12 months, and then they end up taking another 12 to actually get it to where you want it to be. So now with AI and AI coding tools, it's actually feasible and possible to build those out. And Curative here is a prime example of doing that. I don't have specifics on the platform they built out, but there's no doubt that everything that's in that platform is tailored to them, is functional, is definitely falls in that category of, hey, things we always wanted, but Salesforce didn't have for us off the shelf. And so that's their use case. And same thing applies to your business. So internal tools but you really can build these internal tools for whatever it is that you're doing. Maybe you're using some sort of quoting software and now you could build your own. It's a really good opportunity now to analyze what your spend looks like and what's inefficient across your organization. And then asking that question of, could this function way better if we had something a little more customized that's a little more tailored to what we actually want? So overall concept here is reducing spend like they did, that a $600,000 Salesforce bill. And then second piece is customization. Now for those different workflows or things that you're using 4 different apps for can now all be consolidated into one and reduce that spend at the same time. So that's the overall concept here. I remember I was putting this example together. I was talking to Ian. I was like, this is exactly what you've done. So I'll let Ian take over on this. Ian, give some context on the business as well, because it's super interesting business that you run. And then if you can go over the system that you built too.
Here, let me share my screen real quick. I want to kind of touch. So my wife started a school about 1.5 years ago. Actually, 1 year ago, we launched our first one in August, so almost a year. She needed an LMS. Now, I had never used one. I'd never even heard of one, actually, because I was out of school before that was really a thing. But LMS is learning management system, where basically teachers can log in and assign assignments to different students and add classes and stuff like that, message with parents. And then students can come in and see all their classes and their assignments and things like that. And because I didn't know what they were supposed to look like, I was actually able to completely customize this for my wife, for her school. This is her dashboard. You can see from here, you can see everything. This is all the classes that teachers are adding in there, all the students at our school. And I said, oh, let's make a different variation, like different views. They have different houses, kind of like Harry Potter. You can sort them into different houses. So all of this was really just, it came from, what do I wish that I had if my kid was at this school? And actually my kids are at this school because it's our school. And so I built that. I built it according to what I wanted. And then I listened to other parents and listened to what they wanted. One thing that they wanted last year was they were using GroupMe, which is like a big group messaging system. They said, we don't want to use that anymore. We want to use the LMS. We want to use the Saints LMS. And so I built Slack. This is not Slack, but it works just like Slack, where you can go through and create groups. You can message the entire school or upper school or lower school, and it's all moderated. So I basically just listened and then was able to vibe code based on what I heard and make my own LMS. So I have an OpenClaw on this server. That's how I was able to do a lot of this. And I just asked Saint, who's my bot on here, what would this have cost if she had to actually build this herself? And he said somewhere between $350,000 and $750,000 upfront, and then about $50,000 to $120,000 annually for hosting support, security fixes, all that kind of stuff. Whereas if it was just out of the box, where you were going to sign up for this as it is and hope that it works, hope that it's customizable for you, it'd be about $30,000 to onboard and about $2,500 a month to use. There's 2 ways to make money as a business. You can either increase revenue or decrease overhead, right? In this case, we decreased a lot of overhead. We built something that was on par with the courses, the material, and with the brand, but it didn't cost her anything. Now, I'm not sure she knows that. I should probably tell her that. Hey, but anyways, this is something I vibe coded. I actually this is my second iteration. The first one was not quite as pretty, but this was something I just basically came up with, thought up, and listened, and then added it in. And yeah, so this is vibe coding, in my opinion, at its peak here, at least for me.
I'm actually going to tie this back to revenue generation as well, because I know we said kind of our 2 buckets are to increase revenue or reduce overhead. But when you look at a system like this, I would say without question, it makes it more likely for a parent to re-enroll their kid next year, given the simplicity of the systems and the transparency that's available. This isn't, they get a paper report card or whatever, and you got to go dig for documents. Like, all of it's right there. It's huge value add to the parents, to the teachers, to the students. So over time, that one increases your reputation, which makes it more likely that people talk about it to their friends and then recommend them. And then also, I think really increases your chances of having somebody continue to re-enroll. So I'll take a revenue generation angle on that as well.
100%.
But yeah,
We've learned that at this school, at all schools, community is really important. And community is probably important in every business you do. And so if you're able to vibe code community and make it be the source of their community and strengthen that, you're only going to grow and increase your business, whatever you're doing.
100. Yeah,
Yeah.
and Ian's example touches on every piece that we talked about, which is one, the customization. You saw the kind of internal communication there. That's something where it would have had to be Slack or something else. It wouldn't all be centralized. So now having kind of one tool instead of having 10 tools, that's one piece, the customization. And then the second piece, obviously, costs. This for a custom build like this would have been hundreds of thousands of dollars. If you're buying something off the shelf, like I don't know, Canvas or Blackboard or something like that, tens of thousands annually.
Yeah.
If it's off the shelf, you are forced to work within its confines. So yeah, it kind of touches on all the points on reducing your costs and increasing customization.
Yeah. 100%. All right. I've got another example. Actually, mine's more of a story. So I'll actually show you. There we go. Okay. So I just showed you this. So as a parent, you can actually log in and see all the students, everything else. There's a lot I didn't show you, but I love this thing. Okay. I'm going to move over to this. So when we were talking about what to bring to this webinar, we were really thinking tools. I was thinking, what tools would I love to hear about by somebody who knows this stuff? And as I was doing that, I was actually building out this new platform that we're launching here called AG for NTS, agents. We like that because it's like AI for NTP, AG for NTS. And AG for NTS doesn't actually mean anything, except it spells agents with a 4 in the middle. But I started to brainstorm with my new OpenClaw on this server and started working through some of these ideas. And he was moving so fast and he was making such good decisions, design decisions, content. Obviously, I'm directing it and feeding it, but it was like I've described OpenClaw as putting on a mech suit where you suddenly have the 20-foot arms and you can do so much more. That's how it felt. But even 30-foot arms, it was so much better. I finally stopped in the middle and just said, how are you so much smarter than all my other OpenClaws? I don't get what's going on. Oh, you're faster and you're better. How is it? And he says, I'm on GPT 5.6. Now, all my other ones are using ChatGPT 5.5. Great model. This one is far better. I wish I had metrics on it. I don't have metrics. All I know is my own experience. I've actually never recognized a model's difference through OpenClaw this much. I did notice one time when I switched back to Kimi 2.5, which is another model, and it got a whole lot stupider. I'm like, why are you so dumb? And then I realized it switched models. But in this case, it blew me away so much that I realized, oh, this is what I should actually talk to people about. If you are in OpenClaw, ChatGPT 5.6 Soul is incredible. I'm using my OAuth tokens. It's $100 a month. And I've got 20 or 30 bots on it using the same tokens. And it is really smart. And it makes better design decisions, in my opinion. It also makes different design decisions than Claude. A lot of Claude sites out there right now are looking kind of samey. And this one actually mixes it up. But the second part, like I said, it's all 1-2 punch. So I started going, I'm like, man, this is dynamite. And then I found some sites that had these animations like JavaScript, stuff that I've always wanted to get into, but I don't know JavaScript. It's a really complex language. I'd miss a semicolon and just blow the whole thing up. It would break it. But there's this front end, I guess, software. It's all JavaScript, but it's called WebGL, WebGL. And it's basically libraries of JavaScript that make things like these little animations. Now, these are actually a subtle, I don't know if you can pick up on that, but they're a subtle nod to the 4. Each of these are little 4s. So I said, hey, I found this. It was like diamonds or squares. And I said, hey, can you make that just to add some interest to the page? And he says, yeah. So he did. And I said, actually, can you make it these 4s? And he goes, yeah. And I said, actually, can you make it this 4? And I gave him a 4. And he put it in there. And I thought, oh, man, that just adds so much. You click anywhere and it blows up. I geek out on this stuff. I'm a designer at heart. I'm also a designer, but it brought the page alive. And then I scroll down here and Justin actually gave me this feedback, said you should make it unfold like that with the gray, that text. Like, oh, this is great. So I'd tell my new OpenClaw and he would make it. And almost right off the bat, it was perfect. And then these little other WebGL animations that just convey what the text says. So turn noise into signal. So a lot of disparate dots, and then you mouse over and you see the connections between all of them. Put context at a point of action. Anyways, I was really impressed with 5.6, but also really inspired and encouraged that I can now work with WebGL. I can now be that JavaScript front-end designer that I've always wanted to be. I started out in web design 28 years ago. Really beginning. At the time, you could really just center line text and put a background that would tile. There was really little you could do. So call myself a designer at the time was cheating, but there was a small design community and there were some guys doing some really great stuff like this that I always wished I could be one of those guys. And now I actually can, because OpenClaw knows everything about WebGL. It knows everything about all these different front-end languages and back-end languages. I don't have to be that guy. I just have to know what I want. I have to know what I want it to look like or how I want it to function, which is user experience. And now I can. So I've actually opened up, this was just this week. I built this in about 3 hours on Monday or Tuesday. I just buckled down and was like, wow, it really impressed me. So this is my other 1-2 combos, ChatGPT 5.6 with OpenClaw and WebGL for the fun animative stuff. And there's a lot more options than this. I could actually show you a lot of examples. Let me actually see, I think it's called three.js. They have some great libraries. You can actually just go and look at these. Tiny skies. This may take a while to load. This one's incredible. This is all WebGL. You click in and it actually makes a whole, oops, it's playing music now. I don't want that. Okay. But you can build whole worlds. You can build whatever it is you want. And you don't even have to start with a library. You can actually start with just OpenClaw. Hey, use WebGL. Let's make something like this. And it builds it for you because it's got like a 500 IQ. It's going to be a lot smarter than you at this anyways, even if you're great. So that's my latest 1-2 punch.
Yeah, I love
And
it.
a little nod.
The site speaks for itself. It looks incredible. On the note of either making or saving money, this is something that would have cost thousands or maybe $10,000 for a website like this. And companies are still paying $10,000. Like a venture-backed SaaS company is spending 20 grand on this website every day of the week. So yeah, the fact is, and I think high level concept here is that there are things that are outside of, or used to be outside of all of our kind of skill set or bandwidth. And now it's not. You just have to have the curiosity and willingness to go out and try it and test it out. But now you can accomplish results like this and do things that you couldn't do before. Ian was saying he didn't know Java, so this wasn't something that was necessarily feasible. But now with AI in the mix, something that he can knock out easily. He said he built this in 3 hours.
Almost from scratch too. You can start with nothing. Just say, what's in my brain? I'm going to get it on the page.
I love it. Okay. Here's my last example here for you guys. This is a good one. All right. Final example. Okay. So this actually, I have direct experience with this because basically what happened is I was on LinkedIn and Adam from our B2B, which I believe is, it's not attribution, but basically helps you determine if somebody visits your website, it helps you determine who it is or what organization they work for. So he owns a company that does that. And basically he was starting up another company that is like an Apollo or a Seamless, the Zoom Info alternative, basically an API that allows you to get contact data. And I was interested, so I opted in, I think, on their landing page. And then fast forward about a week, I got a text from Adam. Hey, it's Adam from our B2B. So you're on the wait list, have a few questions. Can we chat? I knew from the jump it was AI because I know this dude is a pretty big founder, isn't sending out text to everybody on the wait list. That's why I said, please call, just as kind of a BS test. I asked if it's actually Adam. Yeah, it's really me. I would not do that. I think raises probably some moral questions and is probably highly illegal as well. So I wouldn't do that. If somebody asked if your AI is AI, don't pretend to be a person. I think there's legal implications with that. But the point is that, and the broader concept here is that scaling the unscalable. This is something that founders talk about all the time. Reach out to your customers, get their feedback, reach out to your waitlist. And I don't know how big his waitlist is. It could have been 10,000 people, could have been 5,000 people. For him to facilitate 10,000 text conversations is something that just would not, you couldn't do it. You could maybe do 5 or 10 a day, whatever. But as a founder with a lot of other stuff going on, it's just not possible. But with AI, this kind of allows the concept of you can now scale things that you couldn't in the past. So yeah, their use case was they had this AI iMessage, which is also a cool touch, as it wasn't green text where you can, typically always tell that it's automated. They had iMessage wired up, which is pretty good. But blue text, most people trigger the, hey, this is a real person. Whereas green text, all the promotions that you get, all the like, hey, we're the restaurant down the street is doing a promotion, or the store you just bought something from, those texts are always green, and green, I think, is generally perceived with spam text. So blue texts make it look legit. This automatically texted everyone and facilitated conversations. So a really cool setup they have here. How this could apply to your business. There's a lot of really cool use cases. You can follow up with leads that maybe they're sitting in your CRM and they never end up moving forward with your service. You can have a similar campaign to this, go out and re-engage and see if anyone is interested in the service again, or if it's a better time or something along those lines. And that's, again, something that would be very manual and take a lot of work. But now with AI, is something that's possible with just some upfront configuration. So that's one piece. Speed the lead on the front end. If somebody opts in, they can immediately start receiving these texts, your AI trying to start these conversations. And then even broader than just I think there's a lot of really good use cases for something like automated iMessage, but it really is broader than that in scaling the unscalable. This could apply to emails. This could even tie back to voice agents, how we talked about earlier. Those things could all run in tandem and have a centralized brain that's reaching out a kind of omni-channel. It's reaching out email, text, and that's all kind of aggregated. There's a lot of really cool use cases on scaling the unscalable. So yeah, that's my third example.
I love it. I think it's a good point. I think it's better, especially right now, to admit when it's AI and it's not you. I actually follow a few AI clones on YouTube, and they start right off the bat, hey, I'm a digital clone for so-and-so.
Yes.
She writes all these things and reads them and whatever. And I think that's the smart way to go, because then people say, okay, I get it. But if you try to pass it off as human, going back to your first one, the voice, I think people know. They can read right through it.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's you're probably asking for a class action suit. Probably not a good idea to try to impersonate.
Or maybe it was him. Maybe it actually was him and just missed it. I'm just kidding.
Maybe it was.
I saw Spencer ask if the AI can text your girlfriend. I actually had it write a love letter. My wife, I told her about it, and she goes, oh, have her write a love letter for me. So I did. And it says, we have 5 kids, and our cute little dog. Our dog's like 85 pounds. So she's like, really? I'm like, it doesn't know everything. But
somebody automated good morning, beautiful texts to their girlfriend or wife.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think
That's funny.
There's a balance with all this stuff. It's really good to automate work and take as much off your plate as possible, but there are those personal touches that matter, will continue to matter. I wouldn't advise anybody to send automatic text to your girlfriend, but
No.
but yeah.
Honestly, the whole reason we started AI for NTP was really to find people who wanted to learn more about it. And really, that's why we're on camera. We're on here live, because honesty and authenticity is so big, so crucial. And it's only going to get more important as AI gets proliferated. So human to human contact, I always say, call it out. If it's not you, then make sure that they know it's not you and you're not trying to fake it. But when it is you, really lean into that. And that's why I love doing these calls, because of that. I actually get to talk to people. I'm seeing Spencer's funny comments, and David's, he's an OG. So relationships.
100%.
So
yeah. Go ahead.
Do we have time for questions?
Here we go. Here's my question for you, Ian. Question is, how far out are we from, if I wanted to engineer this kind of video format that we're doing right now, where it's me and you having a conversation and me presenting and stuff, how long until I can have AI avatar Alec, AI avatar Ian, have all these built out by AI, and there's a real dialogue that's hard to catch? What's your timeline?
I don't think that technology is as far out as you'd think, but I do think you'd have to download a lot of your thinking and knowledge and experiences and history and jokes. It could fake it pretty good. I would say we're probably 6 months to a year. I've seen Bordy, which is a new one. You actually can talk, it can sit on your Zoom calls. Bordy, it sits on your Zoom calls and it listens, and then afterwards you can talk to it like an AI, and it says, and it's actually a voice AI. So you just talk back and forth, and it can brainstorm with you on how the call went and how you can do it better. All they need to do is add that to almost like a Snapchat filter on a face that looks
Uh,
like you. What do you
True.
think?
I'm going to go a little longer. I think that piece by piece, some of the tech pieces will be there 6 months from now. Yeah. I still don't think AI UGC has gotten really good. So I guess in some ways you could say the video's there, but long form, I feel like it's just when you're doing this for 45 minutes or an hour, it really opens you up. Because if you are generating an AI avatar and somebody that's speaking, you're going to have to do multiple takes of it to get a good output, to get one that doesn't sound weird at some point. So when it's long form like this, in real time live, I think just from a video perspective, that's not there yet. So I think there's a lot of different pieces that need to work well, carrying conversation and having that be fast enough to where people don't catch on. I think it's more like 2.5 years before it's really there. And I know that's like a
Really?
decade or maybe 100 years
That's a number of
in
years, yeah.
AI terms, but I do think it's pretty far out from a long form standpoint. Maybe 2 years. I'm not going to go
Interesting.
2.5. That seems too long for me. But yeah, I'm going to stick with it. 2.5 years.
Okay. I've seen some video where it replaces people. You can be talking and all of a sudden you're a different person talking. I think there's some real time stuff you can do with video that doesn't require long playing video. It's more of just an avatar that can be pretty. What I've seen with WebGL was pretty impressive in front end animation and
Oh, yeah.
interaction. I guess if you're asking when it's believable, where we could actually get on here and
Yes. It's
fool,
believable.
fool people for 45 minutes. I say that because I don't ever want to actually do that. But yeah, probably, especially for interactions like where it's realistic, where I'm leaning forward and I'm doing my old nervous twitches and whatever else. That's going to be, that probably will be, yeah, 2 years. I'm not sure if it's 2.5, maybe a year and a half. I don't know. I think we'll be surprised. I think you'll be
Agreed.
surprised.
I won't count anything out. I even hate to make a prediction like this live where
It's
there's a record of it.
it's so
Timelines are tough right now. Timelines are really tough to gauge.
they
Um,
are.
but yeah, guys, that
Yeah.
was all of our real AI use cases, how people are making money with it, saving money with it. So we have two things for everybody in the audience. If you want to work with us or want more of us, Ian showed the agents site. So if you are a business owner or you're looking to implement AI at your company, we have an offering where we build out these agents. We do it on a monthly basis. So if you want to do that, that's that QR code on the left. It'll take you to the agent site. Go check out Ian's work on the agent site. It looks great. It can give you guys some inspiration on, hey, what can be built with AI, give you a little bit more context about all of us. And then the second piece is we now have a community. So what we're doing is we have 2 calls every week, and one of them is office hours, and where it'll be two of us. It'll be Ian and I, or it'll be Justin and I, or it'll be Justin and Ian, and we'll be answering all of your AI questions. And that ties into the second session, which is an AI agent build. So every week we're going to be building out AI agents that are practical for everyone. Maybe this week we're building out an email agent or an SMS agent. So it's step-by-step guided builds in the community. And then everybody, for founding members, we're just doing this for a very short amount of time, so get in while you can. But we are doing a free one-on-one. You can just pick from myself, Ian, or Justin. You get a one-on-one with us. So I'll leave this up on the screen here for a minute for anyone that wants to work with us in a closer fashion or upskill with AI. That's really what the community is built for. And if you're looking to implement it within your business, that's what the work with us agents section is for.
Yeah. Yeah. We've had two, first off, we've loved building this and it's had such a great response. And two of the questions that we get most often are, how do we get you guys to consult with us? We want to bring you into our business and help us. We're getting a lot of that. And then also for those who are just hustlers, want to learn more and build something themselves, it was, do you have a community? And so we like, after a while, we're only on session 7, but we've gotten enough. We love working with people. We love reaching out and teaching people all these things, and to do it one-on-one would just be awesome. So I'm really excited about both of these. I really want to reach out and connect with each of you on this. And I've got a hard stop in 5 minutes. So that means I can't stick around and answer more questions, but I do want to talk. If anybody has questions or anything in the chat, or Alec, that was a really good question about video.
Yeah, I didn't realize Spencer was in the chat. He's very much on the cutting edge of this. He said we're almost there.
Really?
I mean,
Let's go.
I actually have a whole folder of these. I'm sure his is much more extensive of some of these examples of these AI influencers, and that's what Spencer's doing a lot of. And it's hard to tell. It's indistinguishable, especially, yeah. So I think we are close. Long form, yeah, tough. But yeah, if you look at Spencer's stuff, it's all pretty much indistinguishable, especially with the content
Wow.
styles that they're doing, because they're doing a lot of formats that are already working well for real influencers, and they're just replicating that with AI avatars. His stuff's incredible.
Spencer, check out sesame.com. I want to see if you can get that voice, or maybe you have a better voice. I've been really impressed with it. I'm not sponsored by them at all. I just love what they're doing. To me, that actually tips over the scale of humanity. It actually feels real. But yeah, it is so hard to tell where things are going. I do think it's super important to always be asking yourself as you build something, what else can it do? What else can I build? How else can I think about? Ask outlandish questions. Ask AI stuff that you don't think is possible, and just see where the boundaries are. I've done that, and I found very few boundaries. And so I'm always like, when I gave this to all my brand sauce employees, they said, we need some education structure on this, which is why we're actually doing this. I was like, you're right. I just gave you the entire world and said, now just go build something. You need some guidelines, but those guidelines come from creative thinking and being bored or listening and think, I wonder if I could do that with AI. I wonder if it could do that. And honestly, every step I've taken in this journey, especially with OpenClaw, has been spurned by those questions, those thoughts, those almost, sometimes they're jokes. Oh, what if we could do this? Actually, I wonder if it could do that. I want to see what you guys are building in our school community or in the comments on the videos or wherever. I want to see you guys are up to.
In the community, you'll have to have Spencer do a sesh on
Yes.
AI avatars. Yeah, that
Yes.
would be a good one. But yeah, I think we have a ton of questions. Super excited to see you guys in the community or work with you with the agents offering. And if not, we love doing these and are excited to see you guys on sessions to come. We love providing value and sharing that what we are all doing in the field. We live in this world kind of day in, day out. So it's good to be able to share some of our findings and what we're seeing working in the field. So yeah, we're having a lot of fun with these. We're going to be continuing to do it. So
Yep.
regardless of,
Session 8 coming soon.
yeah, session 8 coming soon. Hopefully we will see all of you there. Hopefully we'll see you in the community or working with you one-on-one with agents. But either way, thanks everyone for joining today. This was a lot of fun. Ian, shout out to you.
Yep.
Crush it.
Likewise,
Good content.
man.
So yeah, it was a fun one. Appreciate everyone.
Yeah. I love you guys. Keep climbing that mountain. I'll see you at the school.
There we go.
All right.
See you guys.